while the rest of the world lives in 2025. Ethiopia is nearly a decade behind. In this country, women have been banned from setting foot in one sacred land for over 200 years. People are forbidden to eat meat on 200 days of the year. Ethiopia even dared to move faster than the European Union by saying no to gasoline cars. And if that's not strange enough, there are hidden villages where people walk on all fours instead of two legs. Hard to believe, right? But that's only a small part of the 15 shocking and bizarre truths about Ethiopia. Wait until you hear fact number 1. It will leave you speechless. Number 15. A nation. Proudly living. A decade behind. Visiting Ethiopia isn't just traveling to another country, it's like stepping into another timeline. While New York is in 2025, Addis Ababa is still in 2017. That's because Ethiopia follows a 13-month calendar, 12 months of 30 days, plus a 13th month called Pagum, which has 5 or 6 days, depending on the leap year. That's why Ethiopia proudly promotes the slogan, 13 months of sunshine in 1 year. But that's not all. Ethiopians tell time differently too. Instead of starting the day at midnight, like in New York or Paris, their clocks begin with sunrise. So 6 a.m. International Time becomes 12 Ethiopia, and 7 a.m. becomes 1 Ethiopia. The day is split into 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night, matching the rhythm of traditional farming life. Logical for locals, but a nightmare for travelers. Many miss buses or flights because they confuse international time with Ethiopian time. For Ethiopians, though, it makes perfect sense. They believe a new day should begin at sunrise and end at sunset. It's a practical way of life for an agricultural society tied to the seasons. So here's a tip when booking a tour bus or train in Ethiopia. Always ask, is this Ethiopian time or international time? Otherwise, you'll quickly find yourself arriving on the wrong day or the wrong hour in a country already living slower than the world by nearly a decade. Number 14. The village where people walk on all fours. Hidden deep in the remote southeastern mountains of Ethiopia is a tiny community nicknamed the Cattle Village. Home to only about 200-250 people, most residents move on all fours. From toddlers to adults, crawling becomes their only way of getting around instead of walking upright like the rest of humanity. At first, outsiders thought it was just a strange stunt for attention. But after months of research, scientists confirmed it's a hereditary condition that has lasted for generations. Crawling for life causes their spines, hips, and hands to deform. Still, they move quickly, climbing hills and crossing dirt roads with surprising ease. The puzzling part is why this trait is so widespread. Many experts believe it's due to inbreeding, as the village is so isolated that genetic mutations build up over time. Interestingly, a few children in the past were born healthy and able to walk upright. But instead of being admired, they felt out of place. Over time, even those children chose to crawl to fit in, copying their parents and peers. What started as a physical condition eventually turned into a social norm, almost like the community experienced reverse evolution. Number 13. The first country to ban gasoline cars. While the European Union plans to ban gas-powered car sales in 2035, Ethiopia, one of the poorest countries in Africa, jumped ahead of the world. In February 2024, the government declared every car imported into Ethiopia must be electric. The context sounds unbelievable. This is a nation where 70% of the population relies on farming, and average income is just about $1,000 per year. Yet it took a bold step that even the US, Japan, and Europe haven't dared. The reason? In 2023, Ethiopia spent $7.6 billion importing fuel, a massive burden on its national budget. Over half of that fuel was consumed by transportation. Meanwhile, 90% of Ethiopia's electricity comes from hydropower and renewable energy. Today, Ethiopia has over 100,000 electric vehicles on the road, with a target of 500,000 in the next decade. But here's the problem: the country, which is twice the size of Texas, about 472,000 square miles, has only around 50 public charging stations, and half of them don't even work. One Volkswagen ID.4 owner complained, "Even if you find a charger, it usually doesn't work. The battery degrades fast and long trips are almost impossible." So here's the question: is Ethiopia making a bold leap into the future of electric cars, or walking straight into an energy crisis with no infrastructure to support it? What do you think? Can Ethiopia really stick to this ban? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'll discuss it together. Number 12. The mysterious land where women are forbidden. It might sound laughable at first, but this is 100% true. In Ethiopia, there exists a sacred monastic site, often called the Mount Athos of Africa, where women are completely banned. This tradition dates back to the 9th century AD, when the first ascetic rules were drafted by monks, and it has been strictly upheld for over 1,200 years. Within the compound are about 20 monasteries home to around 2,000 monks who live entirely cut off from the outside world. Even male visitors face tough barriers, climbing steep stone walls seeking permission from the monks and pledging to fully obey the rules. It's not just women who are forbidden. Female animals, from hens to cows to female dogs, are strictly excluded because the monks believe their presence would disrupt a pure ascetic life. As a result, only male goats, roosters, and bulls are raised within the area. Today, while much of the world talks about gender equality, this monastery has kept its closed gates for over a millennium. Western travelers are often stunned. Can a place really exist where no woman has ever set foot for more than 1,200 years? The answer is yes, and Ethiopia still preserves one of the world's most extreme and unusual taboos. Number 11. Big-bellied men are seen as desirable. Ethiopia is generally known as one of the leanest nations in the world. On average, people consume only about 1,850 calories a day, with just 21 grams of fat, far below the global average of about 70 grams. Yet in the remote valley of the Badi tribe, the opposite is true. Here, the fatter a man is, the more admired and attractive he becomes to women. Every June, the Badi hold the Kale Festival, a unique contest to crown the fattest man in the tribe. Each family selects one unmarried man to compete. For 6 months, these young men follow a special diet, drinking nothing but a milk mixture. Women bring it daily in bamboo tubes or large bowls. Many contestants vomit from the strain, but all push themselves to grow their bellies for victory. When the festival day comes, the men emerge from their huts, transformed bodies smeared with ash, and clay stomachs swaying with each step, becoming living symbols of the tribe's prosperity. The winner isn't just celebrated, he's the one women most want to marry. But this tradition faces extinction. The Ethiopian government plans to resettle 300,000 people in the Badi's territory, threatening their centuries-old way of life. For anthropologists, Kale isn't just a festival, it's proof of Ethiopia's cultural diversity, where beauty standards defy the norms of the modern world. Number 10. Important visa warning. Before visiting Ethiopia. Unlike Eritrea, often called the most difficult country on earth for visas, Ethiopia has chosen a more open approach. Since 2017, it has offered an online e-visa system, letting travelers apply with just a few clicks instead of waiting at embassies. But in reality, getting an Ethiopian e-visa is far from simple. Many travelers report being rejected for reasons like not having an official hotel booking, failing to submit a day-by-day itinerary, or lacking an invitation letter from a local organization. Some Americans have even complained on travel forums. It's easier to get a visa for Europe than Ethiopia. You have to prove every single step of your trip here. So if you plan to visit Ethiopia, the land of Lalibela Aksum, or the Omo Valley, take this advice: prepare every document carefully. That means hotel reservations, round-trip tickets, and a clear itinerary. If you have friends or business partners in Ethiopia, an invitation letter will make approval easier. And most importantly, apply at least 2 to 3 weeks in advance. Last-minute applications are a recipe for disaster. Number 9. Ethiopia's Volkswagen Beetle craze. Did you know that in the middle of Ethiopia's crowded streets and scarce car market, there's a strange phenomenon, a Volkswagen Beetle fever? The legendary German car, discontinued globally in 2019, is still everywhere in Addis Ababa and remains a piece of nostalgia for generations of Ethiopians. The Beetle first arrived in Ethiopia in the 1970s. More than 50 years later, it's still beloved for its affordability, durability, and easy repairs. In a country where import taxes on cars can reach 200%, a 25-year-old Toyota can cost around $11,600, a staggering price when the average Ethiopian makes only about $1 to $200 a year. Meanwhile, a Beetle sells for just $2 to $200, making it a lifeline for many families. But it's not only about price. The Beetle is sturdy, rarely breaks down, and spare parts are easy to find. Many owners even fix them at home. That's why the Beetle has become a living museum on the streets of Addis Ababa. Today, it's not just older generations who love it. Young Ethiopians are reviving the Beetle too. Clubs like City Cruise, with about 20 members including lawyers, architects, and data analysts, meet monthly to restore and drive their Beetles around the city, turning the car into a cultural street icon of Ethiopia. Number 8. The largest open-air market in Africa. Addis Ababa's Mercado is not only one of Ethiopia's biggest trading hubs, it's one of the largest markets in all of Africa. Its name comes from the Italian occupation in the 1930s. The moment you enter, you feel like you've stepped into a gigantic maze of sound, color, and smell. Mercado stretches for miles with an estimated 7,000 stalls where tens of thousands of traders and customers pack in every day. Locals say you can find literally anything here: grains, vegetables, coffee, clothes, leather, scrap metal, even wood for cooking fuel. For visitors, it's a great place to pick up an Ethiopian silver bracelet. The highlight, though, is the spice section. Vendors proudly showcase Berber, Ethiopia's famous ground red chili, the essential ingredient in Doro Wat, the country's national spicy chicken stew. Go a little deeper and you'll see butchers selling raw beef, a local delicacy often eaten with traditional Ethiopian whiskey. Of course, Mercado has its downsides. Prices are often inflated and bargaining is practically a ritual. Number 7. Coffee, Ethiopia's gift to the world. That cup of coffee you sip every morning, it's actually Ethiopia's gift to the world. Legend has it that in the 9th century, a goat herder in the region of Kaffa, the origin of the word coffee, noticed his goats bouncing around with endless energy after eating berries from a mysterious shrub. Curious, he tried them himself and felt the same rush. From there, the journey of coffee began in Ethiopia, before spreading across the Middle East, Europe, and eventually conquering America. Today, Ethiopia isn't just called the birthplace of coffee. It's also one of the world's top coffee exporters. Every year, the country produces over 450 million pounds of coffee, making up about 60% of its agricultural exports. Names like Yirgacheffe Sidamo and Harar aren't just places, they're premium brands famous for flavors ranging from jasmine and lemony brightness to rich chocolate undertones. What amazes visitors most, though, is Ethiopia's traditional coffee ceremony. Picture this: beans roasted right in front of you, over hot coals, their aroma filling the air, then ground in a wooden mortar and brewed in a classic clay pot called a jibina. The coffee is poured in tiny cups, usually served with popcorn, pastries, or dried fruit. But this isn't just drinking coffee. It's a ritual that can last hours, where neighbors and friends gather, talk, and bond over Ethiopia's most precious gift. Number 6. The political capital of Africa. Here's something you might not know. Addis Ababa, Ethiopia's capital, is often called the political capital of Africa. It's not just the administrative center of Ethiopia, it plays a vital role in diplomacy and politics across the entire continent. This city is home to the headquarters of the African Union, which brings together 55 member states and coordinates nearly all strategic security and development issues for Africa. But that's not all. Addis Ababa also hosts the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, which develops research and economic policies for the region. Thanks to this, Ethiopia's capital has become a stage for countless summits, international negotiations, and tense diplomatic talks among world leaders. What's fascinating is that Ethiopia was never colonized by Europe, yet its capital carries more diplomatic influence than many former colonial powers. This independence and resilience made Ethiopia a leader in the Pan-African movement from the 20th century to today. Number 5. Ethiopians don't have family names. Did you know Ethiopians don't have last names the way most of the world does? Instead of carrying a family surname passed down for generations, they follow a unique naming system. A person's full name is their first name, followed by their father's name. For example, if a boy is named Samuel and his father is Bekele, his full name would be Samuel Bekele. Later, if Samuel has a son named Daniel, the child would be called Daniel Samuel, not Daniel Bekele. In some cases, Ethiopians even use the name of their grandfather or another male ancestor as the second part of their name, creating a living family tree or you can trace lineage backward. Another interesting detail: women never change their names after marriage. They keep their own given name and their father's name instead of adopting their husband's last name, as in Western traditions. Because of this system, Ethiopia doesn't really have the concept of a family surname. Even on passports, Ethiopians often list their father's name as their official last name, which can be confusing for foreigners. Number 4. Ethiopia has the saltiest body of water in the world. When people think of salty water, the Dead Sea usually comes to mind, famous for letting you float effortlessly. But surprisingly, the Dead Sea only ranks 7th on the list of the world's saltiest bodies of water. The number 1 spot belongs to a tiny but extraordinary lake in Ethiopia, Lake Gaihale, located in the Afar region. Lake Gaihale only appeared in 2005 after a powerful earthquake opened a hot spring that bubbled up from underground. The result was a small lake, unlike any other on Earth. Covering just about 160,000 square feet, it holds a world record, a salt concentration of 43.3%. That's 1.5 times saltier than the Dead Sea. Although it shines like a natural mirror, Lake Beetle is far from friendly. It sits in the Danakil Desert, more than 370 miles from Addis Ababa, in one of the harshest environments on the planet, where average temperatures often soar above 115 degrees. The lake water also contains toxic gases like hydrogen sulfide and sulfur, making it impossible for animals or even people to live nearby for long. That's why it's also nicknamed the most deadly body of water in the world. Number 3. The most dangerous job in the world. There are countless dangerous jobs worldwide: coal mining, stone cutting, high-rise window cleaning, even extracting snake venom. But one of the harshest of them all is salt mining in Ethiopia. The Danakil Depression, located in the Afar Triangle Desert, is known as the hottest place on Earth. Daytime temperatures regularly reach 122, 140 degrees, and even mornings are unbearable. The land lies about 330 feet below sea level, stretching with red rock sulfur deposits and massive salt flats. Only about 750 miners are authorized to work here. With no modern machinery, they rely solely on hammers, axes, and simple tools to break salt into slabs weighing 15-18 pounds each. These blocks are then loaded onto camels, which carry them for miles across the brutal desert terrain. Every day, miners walk at least 2 hours to reach the salt lake, then labor under scorching sun with almost no protective gear. Their only defense is cloth wrapped around their noses, while their eyes burn red. From salt irritation, their vision slowly deteriorating. Clean water is extremely scarce, leaving workers unable to wash after shifts. Layers of salt cake onto their skin, turning it from dark brown to pale white, causing sores and infections. After just a few years, many suffer partial blindness, hearing loss, and severe health decline. Yet the pay is painfully small, only about $1 per day. Barely a fraction of what they risk in sweat, health, and even life. Number 2. Ethiopia's giant wall of water. Imagine a colossal dam on the Blue Nile, where Ethiopia is building what it calls its project of the century, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD. It's not only the largest hydroelectric project in Africa, but also ranks among the biggest dams in the world. Stretching nearly 1 miles long and 476 feet tall, the dam creates a reservoir holding up to 74 billion cubic meters of water, about 60% the volume of Lake Erie in the U.S. Just the scale alone feels like a massive wall of water rising out of the desert. Even more impressive is the power GERD promises: 6,450 megawatts, enough to supply electricity to more than 60 million average American households. For Ethiopia, a country where about 65% of people still lack reliable electricity, this is a historic turning point. GERD is expected to light up villages, hospitals, and schools, while also transforming Ethiopia into a regional energy powerhouse ready to export power to Sudan, Djibouti, Kenya, and even Egypt. The reservoir is also expected to help control the devastating floods that have plagued downstream countries for decades, while offering new opportunities for sustainable irrigation. Of course, the project has raised deep concerns in Egypt and Sudan, where the Nile is the lifeline for hundreds of millions. But for Ethiopia, this dam is a declaration: we will shape our own future. Number 1. Fasting from meat for 200 days a year. Yes, you heard that right. If you're a meat lover, Ethiopia might not be your paradise. With roughly 43–45% of the population belonging to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, strict fasting rules shape daily life. People here avoid meat, eggs, and dairy for nearly 200 days each year, more than half of their lives. During the 55-day Lent season before Easter, and every Wednesday and Friday, there's no BBQ, no fried chicken, no cheeseburgers. Instead, meals revolve around vegetables and grains. In reality, Ethiopian families have mastered the art of preparing rich and satisfying plant-based meals. Many children grow up hardly noticing the absence of meat. From this forbidden rule, Ethiopia has unexpectedly become a vegetarian's paradise. At the center of every meal is intra, a giant spongy flatbread made from teff, a gluten-free grain praised by Western nutritionists as a superfood rich in iron and calcium. On top of the intra, Ethiopians serve a variety of flavorful vegetarian stews: shiro, wat misir, wat atkilt wat, and gomen. Thanks to these strict religious practices, Ethiopia has been praised by Lonely Planet and BBC Travel as one of the few countries where vegetarian dining is elevated to an art form rather than a restriction. So would you take on the 200-day fasting challenge? How many days do you think you'd last? Share your thoughts in the comments. And there you have it, a journey through Ethiopia's 15 shocking and fascinating truths. Which fact blew your mind the most? Do you agree, disagree, or want to add a 16th fact of your own? If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next cultural adventure, and share this video so your friends can get the same culture shock. See you in the next episode.